Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here today to talk about mobile in-app best practices for programmatic buying. So let's just take a walk through some of the best practices that I've seen on the mobile exchange. We can start with an overview of Latin America and just what the mobile usage metrics look like there. So as you can see, this is from eMarketer in 2016. Back then they were estimating that 64 million people in Brazil will be using smartphones, and that actually represents almost 34% of the entire smartphone population in Latin America. Mexico follows closely behind, representing 23% of the total smartphone users in the region, making this a very big opportunity for advertisers. So where can we find these users? What type of apps are they using? So we have a graph here from eMarketer showing that productivity and utility apps are where the most time is spent. Also messaging and social apps. It's important when you're thinking about targeting users on apps that you're looking at where they're spending the most time, not where your advertiser or yourself thinks they're spending the time. There's a tendency to want to target moms on only mom sites or mom apps. Whereas if you can leverage device IDs from the app and actually look at where users are spending the majority of their time, you'll find that you can target moms across utility, product, messaging, gaming apps, etc. So just keep that in mind as a best practice. So what are some of the major differences between buying mobile in-app and mobile web? I'm sure most of you are very comfortable with buying on desktop and mobile web. You're familiar with cookies. It's a JavaScript integration on mobile web. But there are some differences when it comes to in-app. In-app, it's a cookieless world. It's device IDs that you're targeting. And with in-apps, you can actually have an SDK integration, which is a very deep integration, giving you demo data, age data, very accurate location through the GPS signals, whereas on mobile web, location is highly inaccurate. So when you're trying to do a geofencing campaign, in-app is your best friend for that. Also on in-app, it's more common to find only one ad. It could be a full screen interstitial, it could be a banner at the bottom, or it could be a native unit in feed. Whereas on mobile web, you tend to find both a native ad and a banner and maybe like a pop-up that shows up when you're in the middle of an article. So that's another kind of user experience to keep in mind. And then when it comes to load times, it's very important to remember that when ads are delayed rendering on the device, you're going to have very low viewability. On in-app, ads load a lot faster, so you're going to have higher viewability across apps. And in the in-app experience, the ads occur during natural breaks in the user experience. This could be in between articles, in between levels of a game, in between listening to a song, in between videos. They come during these breaks, whereas often on mobile web, it's a little bit more intrusive where it kind of scrolls up with you as you're reading content or consuming content. And then on in-app, you can also track conversions. So if you're doing an app download campaign or any kind of leads, you can track this with partners such as Tune, Coachava, AppsFlyer. There's a whole bunch out there to help you track your ROI. What kind of targeting capabilities can you do with in-app? These are great ones to take advantage of. App is so unique in that the signals from location, GPS are very strong, so highly recommend leveraging location for in-app. Demographic is also a strong one, so you can get information on the type of, age, type of place they live based on their location plus their age plus gender. It gives you a picture of who the user is. You can also look at what types of ads they've interacted with in the past, what kind of apps they use. You can look at what kind of devices they have, what model is it, what year. And then you can use all of this to do some sort of custom geofencing. You could target home, office, or recreational areas, maybe sports stadiums, any kind of points of interest. And new to the in-app space is viewability, verification with third parties. So Moat and integral ad science are the two main ones we hear about from advertisers. InMobi was the first exchange to integrate Moat and IS in our SDK, and we are achieving beyond the benchmarks. So you get a sense of, okay, was my ad seen, what rate? You get to measure it and report that back to the client, which is becoming increasingly important. You want to give your client total transparency into what they're paying for, and making sure that your partner does have viewability and verification partners is very important. So here's a snapshot of viewability. As I said, we are Moat and IAS certified. They're the two most common ones we hear of in North America from clients. So currently we're overachieving on those benchmarks. You want to make sure that whatever partner you're working with is making sure to exceed the benchmarks that your advertiser has given you, depending on what kind of definition they're using. So there's human and viewable is one of the most common ones, the MRC definition. It's, was the ad seen for at least 2 seconds, where 50% of the pixels on the page. And then you have human and AVOC. AVOC is audio was on until the end of the video. So making sure that the user had the audio on for the entire duration of the 15-30-second mobile in-app video. And the benchmarks are around 60% there, and InMobi is consistently overachieving there as well. So what are your buying options? What does it look like? There's sort of two main buying options in programmatic. One is the open exchange, which is where you're looking for scale, reach, you're looking for a pool of massive users. Maybe you have to blow out a huge budget that has a lot of targeting layers on it, and you just need the most scale you could possibly see. However, what's increasingly becoming of interest to DSPs and to clients is the idea of a private marketplace, setting up a PMP or deal ID, it's also called. What this does is it gives you a lot more control, and it gives you customization for what the supply you're looking for. It also can give you access to exclusive offerings that are not available on the open exchange. So for example, if you wanted to set up a campaign leveraging Moat or IAS for viewability targeting, we move that into a deal ID PMP because we need to make sure that we're overachieving benchmarks. So it needs to be more customized. Things like vertical video, we run within a PMP as well. So if you want like the first look at supply, you want priority pricing, and you want guaranteed completion rates for video viewability, that's when you would use a PMP marketplace. If you're simply looking for just scale and reach, you would just use the open exchange. So what are some of the most common mobile in-app first creatives? So number one, I would say, is the interstitial. It's one of the more popular ad units because it does take up a full screen. It is usually a call to action for an install or to visit an advertiser's webpage. And I've put the average completion rate and CTR metrics at the bottom of each of the ad units here. Banner is the more traditional unit that is used. It's still highly popular, but more folks are testing out interstitials and video these days. So rewarded video is where a user is served a video. In exchange, they get a reward. So the user actually opts in and gives their full permission to view an advertiser's message for 15 to 30 seconds. And at the end, they get credit, maybe coins to move on to the next level of a game, or they get a free download of a song. They get some sort of reward in exchange for their compliance to view an advertiser's message. And then there's non-rewarded video, which could be skippable, it could be non-skippable. It could be audio on, it could be a click to initiate the audio. This just depends on the app and what their preferences are for their user. And the completion rates here, if it's non-skippable, it's much higher. It's around anywhere from 60 to 85%. If it's skippable, it's going to be on the lower side, around 40%. But rewarded video is the highest completion rates, anywhere from 92 to 98%. And then native. Native is commonly used by clients today who do a lot of app download, app install campaigns. It performs really well when you mix it in with interstitial as well. They complement each other for a campaign. And it's becoming a more popular ad unit these days as more and more clients are requesting this. More and more DSPs are upgrading to support native. So let's take a look at some examples. Here's examples of interstitials. You can see here for the Calvin Klein example, you have a video playing at the top, and then you have a call to action for Shop Now, where you can go view all of the products. So this is more of an interactive interstitial, whereas the Amazon example is very much just a call to action. It's download now. So depending on what your KPIs are, you would pick or choose whether you want something a bit more interactive, you want users to spend more time within the unit, or you just simply want the download and you make it very clear how they should do this. Rich media, or also known as MRAID. So rich media is really fantastic if your clients don't have a KPI that's, you know, an install or a video completion rate. If they're looking for something more brand awareness, more time spent within the ad unit, then rich media is a great choice. This example on the left for Dior, there's a video that actually plays at the top and plays at the bottom. So as you click on items in the top video, they appear at the bottom on the catwalk, on the runway, where they had their fashion show. And then when you click more, you can actually shop all of the products. So the KPIs for this campaign were much more around clicks, swipes, views. It was a little bit more broad. And then with rich media, you can take advantage of all of the wonderful things about your phone. So you have, you know, access to the camera where they could take a selfie, they watch videos. There's a weather feed that can be brought in, social media, and location as well. Here's an example where you would use the camera. So this was actually a campaign we ran in Indonesia for Pond's acne solution, and it won the MMA Smarties Innovation and Product Services launch category. So take a selfie, and then the Ponds would take in the weather feed. So you can see in the first example, there's a weather feed there. You have a call to action at the bottom where you take your photo, and then it will give you some sort of solution for what you should do with the Pond's product in order to help with your acne. Another example of rich media using location is this McDonald's example. So a video plays at first, and then it actually takes you to the closest McDonald's location of where you're currently located. So as you can see here, it says get directions. It takes me to where I'm standing, basically, and will give me directions to the closest McDonald's. So this is in San Francisco. If you want to drive users into a store, this is a really effective method. And now we're going to jump into video. So 1 in 5 users are watching TV, but they're also actually watching TV on their smartphones at the same time. So wanting to capture users while they're lounging around at home, even if they have the television on, they're likely still consuming content on their phone. So here we have a research from On Device showing that if you look compared to all of the other regions, US, Canada, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, Asia, Latin America actually comes up top for the most users watching short form video, so under 5 minutes on their phone. And here we see that Latin America leans more towards apps to consume the video content. So at 52% compared to other regions, Latin America is leading the charge with users who are consuming video on applications. And this IAB spend study from 2016 shows that 68% of global video views are going to be on mobile by 2018, which is just next year. And 72% of marketers and media buyers are going to actually plan to decrease their budgets for TV in favor of digital video. In Moby sent out our own survey to our buyers, and we said, you know, which category do you expect to see the largest increase for your programmatic spending in mobile? And 44% said that it would be dedicated to video, followed by native. So just showing you that, you know, video really is a massive opportunity globally, but as we saw in previous slides, Latin America is really leading the charge with users consuming mobile video content on apps. So vertical video, it is the truest form of a mobile first experience, because if you are holding your phone right now, which some of you might be, you're holding it in portrait mode. And when you're holding it in that mode and you see an ad, you're likely not going to rotate your wrist to do a full screen view of an ad. So the best way to grab a user's attention is to create content that is vertical. It takes up the entire screen, 100% of it, without having to rotate your wrist. And this is becoming more common with advertisers creating vertical video because of Snapchat. So it started off kind of slow in Q3, Q4 last year, but it's really sped up in terms of the demand we're seeing for vertical video this quarter. We predict to see a lot more coming in as well as vertical video becomes more mainstream. End cards. They're also sometimes called companion ads. So when you've watched a video, at the very end, if there's nothing else happening, there's no other call to action, you've really lost the user. So let's say you play a vertical video, and at the end of the video, there is a full screen interstitial, like this example with Lyft, that calls you to download the app. It is a much more like well-rounded practice if you can have an end card, because then you have more engagement and more results which you can track. Vertical video. So along with vertical video has come 360 vertical video. These are becoming very popular. This is an example from Samsung where you can play the video and use either your finger to move around the screen to get different angles of the camera, or you could actually hold your phone up and rotate it around to get all of the different angles as well. It's whatever you prefer. And then, as I mentioned earlier, there's rewarded video, which has an opt-in component where the user opts in, gives permission to watch an advertiser's message in exchange for some sort of reward. These are usually between 15 to 30 seconds, but 15 seconds is much more common for rewarded video. The shorter, the better. And so in here, you're getting users to opt in to view your message. In exchange, they get a reward. So there's 90% plus completion rates here. But they are more commonly close to 95 to 98%. And just to summarize a few of the best practices, vertical video and 360 video are definitely emerging as some of the biggest trends for 2017. They are true mobile-first experiences and highly engaging and captivating, because your phone really is a TV-like experience in the palm of your hand, but you do have it in a vertical mode. You're not holding it sideways in landscape. Rewarded video is incredibly effective for getting your highest completion rates and hitting all of the best viewability metrics for your clients. Interstitial video, again, it's a great full screen opportunity An MRAID video is the rich media video, which could be used to incorporate location or shopping within the ad unit. It's a little bit more engagement for the user, so your KPIs would look a lot different than they would for a video, which is completion rates. Always opt for non-skippable video if you can in order to achieve your KPIs for completion rates. Audio on is desirable in order to hit any kind of metric that your advertiser wants to track for making sure the audio was on when the video was viewed. We do recommend 15 seconds or less for video. Even YouTube has come out with 6-second video. Snapchat is down to recommending 6 seconds as well. It's becoming a trend that shorter is much better because users' time and attention spans are just getting shorter and shorter. So we have to keep up with those users. VAST or MRAID. So VAST is the video option for mobile in-app. Please don't use VPaid. It has very delayed load times and is not a mobile-first solution. And look out for high completion rates. Ask your partners if they can create you packages that guarantee very high completion rates. And always use an end card when you can. So this example here is showing you an end card as well. You could either replay the video, which is in the bottom left side of the screen, or you could click to learn more. So it's that call to action after a video that's really important. And if the user doesn't want to do anything else, they can just exit out. So with that, thank you so much for listening and attending. And I'm going to have a look at the questions. .360. Okay, I have a question about the 360 format. What should be the metrics to take into account to consider if this format performs well or not? So for the 360 video, we recommend looking at the dwell time. How long have people been in the unit? Are they, kind of rotating their phone? Are they using their finger to get different camera angles? But ultimately, most of the advertisers want to look at completion rates for vertical 360 formats as well. So they do perform really well, and you can see completion rates anywhere from 60 to like 90%, depending on if you're doing a non-skippable plus rewarded video. Maybe you're doing a mix like that. Okay. Okay, and then I just had a question about vertical video and about the assets, how you get the assets for vertical video. So oftentimes the creative team for the advertiser is not filming videos vertically. They are filming them for TV, right? And then they repurpose it for desktop and mobile, and they're not actually making true mobile-first creative. Now, some clients, like you have the Snapchat clients who are actually creating content vertically, we can use that and run it across our vertical video units as well. What I'm seeing is that a lot of entertainment clients are already making vertical video. So we've run a lot of campaigns for different movie clients and TV shows. If you don't have vertical video, but you really want to test it out, we could help to crop the video as long as it's filmed fairly centered, and then you could test it out for your client. So there are some options for cropping landscape video and getting your client's feet wet with it. Okay, so on audio on as a best practice, this is if you are looking to achieve a benchmark for MOAT for audio on. So a very common benchmark now in North America from buyers is that they want to make sure the audio was on for the duration of the video view. So when you are looking to achieve that metric for your buyer, you have to look for inventory that is highly likely to have like the volume on. Otherwise, you'll fail at achieving that KPI. So just in those cases where your a buyer is specifically asking for AVOC, which is audio on till completion. I had a question. Can I advertise on Snapchat through Mobi Exchange? No, you can't. So on a Mobi Exchange, we have 22,000 apps, and you can advertise vertical video across them. My comment earlier was if you have clients that already run on Snapchat and they want to find another audience that is not on Snapchat, you could use that same creative and run across InMobi's apps to find those alternative users. And I think we are just about out of time. So thank you so much for joining, and please message us with any questions you have after.
Thank you so much for